Every small town has a window like his. A window that glows long after the others have gone dark. A window with thin curtains, a quiet lamp, and a shadow that appears at almost the same hour every evening. In the town of Briar Glen, people knew that window well. It belonged to the small brick house at the end of Hawthorne Lane, the one with the narrow front porch, the blue mailbox, and the old maple tree that leaned slightly toward the roof as if it were listening for secrets. And behind that window, every night at exactly 8 o'clock, sat an old man named Arthur Bell. Arthur did not do anything unusual. He did not wave at passing cars. He did not call out to neighbors. He did not listen to loud music or argue with anyone on the phone. He simply sat in a wooden chair near the window, placed a cup of tea on the small table beside him, opened the curtains halfway, and looked out at the street. Every night, rain or snow, summer or winter, whether the town was busy or silent, Arthur Bell sat by the window and watched. At first, people barely noticed. Briar Glen was the kind of town where people noticed small things only after they had happened many times. A new flower pot on a porch, a car that did not belong in a driveway, a bakery sign turned off early, a dog that stopped barking, a window lit at the same hour every night. After a while, Arthur's window became part of the town's rhythm. The bakery closed at 6. The church bell rang at 7. The streetlights came on at 7:30. And Arthur Bell appeared by the window at 8. Children walking home from evening practice would point at the house and whisper, "There he is." Teenagers made quiet jokes, but never cruel ones. Arthur was too harmless to mock and too mysterious to ignore. Some people said he was waiting for someone. Some said he was remembering someone. Some said he was simply lonely and did not know how to ask for company. Mrs. Whittaker, who lived across the street and knew almost everything that happened in Briar Glen, said Arthur had not always been so quiet. Years ago, she told anyone who asked, he used to laugh louder than anyone at the summer fair. He used to sing while cutting the grass. He used to bring his wife roses from the market every Friday. But that was all she usually said. When people asked what changed, Mrs. Whittaker would look toward Arthur's house, lower her voice and say, "Life changed. That is enough." Most people accepted that. Life changes people. Sometimes slowly. Sometimes in a single afternoon. Sometimes in ways the neighbors can see. And sometimes in ways that happen behind closed doors, beneath old photographs, inside rooms that still hold the shape of someone who is gone. For nearly 7 years, Arthur Bell lived alone. His wife, Rose, had passed away on a cold morning in March. Everyone remembered it because the first flowers of spring had bloomed that week, and Rose had always loved flowers. She had been the bright one. That was how the town described her. Bright not because she was loud, but because she had a way of making ordinary things feel warmer. She remembered birthdays. She brought soup to sick neighbors. She placed small bouquets on the counter at the post office just because she thought people needed something pretty while paying bills. Arthur had been quieter than Rose, even then. But quiet beside her had looked peaceful. After she died, his quiet became heavier. He still went to the grocery store on Tuesday mornings. He still collected his mail. He still swept the porch. But he stopped attending church breakfasts. He stopped going to the summer fair. He stopped bringing roses home on Fridays. And then, one evening, about 2 months after the funeral, Mrs. Whittaker noticed the light in his front window. Arthur was sitting there, still, looking out. The next night, he was there again. And the night after that. Soon everyone knew. At 8 o'clock, the old man sat by the window. No one knew why. But one person wanted to know. Her name was Lily Morgan. Lily was 29 years old, and she had moved back to Briar Glen after losing her job in the city and realizing, with a kind of quiet shock, that the life she had been chasing no longer felt like hers. She returned to care for her aunt's little house while her aunt recovered from surgery, but the truth was, Lily needed recovery too. Not from a broken bone, not from an illness anyone could see, but from years of being tired in a way sleep could not fix. In the city, she had lived in a small apartment above a noisy street. She had worked long hours designing advertisements for things she did not care about. She had eaten dinner too late, answered emails too early, and measured her worth by how quickly she could respond to people who rarely asked if she was well. When she came back to Briar Glen, the quiet felt uncomfortable at first. There was too much space between sounds, too much sky, too much time to think. But slowly, the town began to soften around her. The baker remembered she liked cinnamon rolls. The librarian saved books she thought Lily might enjoy. Mrs. Whittaker brought over a casserole and stayed for exactly 23 minutes, which Lily later learned was her version of restraint. And every night, from the small upstairs bedroom of her aunt's house, Lily could see Arthur Bell's window. At 8 o'clock, the lamp appeared. At 8:01, the curtains moved. Then Arthur sat down. At first, Lily thought nothing of it. Then she began to wonder. What did he look at? What did he wait for? Was there comfort in the street outside, or pain? One rainy evening, she stood at her window with a mug of tea and watched him across the dark road. The rain turned the streetlights into golden blurs. Cars passed slowly. Water ran along the curb. Arthur sat in his chair, his face barely visible behind the glass. He did not move for a long time. Lily found herself whispering, "Who are you waiting for?" Of course, Arthur could not hear her. But somehow, asking the question made him feel less like a mystery and more like a person. The next morning, Lily decided to meet him. Not because she wanted to solve him. Not because she wanted gossip. Because there are some people whose sadness is so quiet that it starts to call to the quiet sadness in others. And sometimes, without knowing why, one lonely person recognizes another. Arthur Bell answered the door after the third knock. Lily stood on his porch holding a paper bag from the bakery, suddenly aware that this plan might have been foolish. The old man opened the door only halfway. He was tall but bent slightly at the shoulders. His hair was white, neatly combed. His sweater was dark green, the kind a person wears for warmth rather than style. His eyes were gray and careful. "Yes," he said. His voice was not unfriendly. It was simply unused. Lily lifted the bag. "Good morning, Mr. Bell. I'm Lily Morgan. I'm staying at my aunt's house down the street. I brought you a cinnamon roll." Arthur looked at the bag as if it were a complicated question. "Why?" he asked. Lily smiled, a little nervous. "Because the bakery gave me two, and I should not eat both." Arthur's expression did not change. "You could save one." "I could," Lily said, "but then I would eat it at midnight and regret everything." For a moment, nothing happened. Then something almost like amusement crossed Arthur's face. "Almost." He opened the door a little wider. "I don't drink coffee," he said. "I didn't bring coffee." "Good, it keeps me awake." Lily glanced toward the front window, then back at him. "Tea then?" Arthur looked at her for a long time. Most people would have found the silence uncomfortable. Lily did too. But she stayed. Finally, Arthur took the bag. "Thank you," he said. "You're welcome." The door began to close. Before it did, Lily said, "It's a beautiful window." Arthur paused. His hand remained on the door. Lily nodded toward the front room. The one facing the street. It has a nice view of the maple trees." Arthur's eyes narrowed slightly, not with suspicion, but with something more fragile. "It does," he said. Then he closed the door. That was their first conversation. It lasted less than 2 minutes. But to Lily, it felt like the first line of a book she had not expected to open. A few days later, she saw Arthur at the grocery store. He stood in the tea aisle, holding 2 boxes and frowning. Lily walked past once, pretending not to notice. Then she walked past again, because curiosity is not always elegant. "Trouble?" she asked. Arthur looked at her. "They changed the package. For the tea. For the good tea. Now I don't know which one is the same." Lily examined the boxes. "This one says English breakfast. This one says bold morning blend." "Rose bought the tea," Arthur said. The name came out so quietly that Lily almost missed it. Rose. There it was. The first small door. "Your wife?" Lily asked softly. Arthur did not answer right away. Then he nodded. "She knew which one I liked." Lily held up the English breakfast. "This sounds safer." Arthur looked doubtful. "Safe is not always good." "True," Lily said, "but it is usually better than drinking something called bold morning blend at night." Again the almost smile. He placed the English breakfast tea in his basket. At the register, Lily offered to help carry his groceries. "I can carry groceries," Arthur said. "I know, I was offering, not diagnosing." That time he actually smiled. Small, quick, but real. Over the next several weeks, Lily and Arthur began having conversations by accident. At least, Arthur probably thought they were accidents. Lily knew better. She saw him at the post office and asked about stamps. She saw him sweeping leaves and asked whether maple trees had always been so dramatic. She saw him at the bakery and asked whether he had forgiven her for the cinnamon roll. "There was too much icing," he said. "That sounds like a compliment from you." "It was not. I'll take it anyway." The town noticed. Of course it did. Small towns notice when a person stops using the same silence. Mrs. Whittaker watched from her porch with the focused attention of a woman who did not believe in coincidences. One afternoon, she caught Lily near the mailbox. "You have been talking to Arthur Bell," she said. Lily smiled, a little. "He does not talk to many people. Maybe people stopped trying." Mrs. Whittaker looked toward Arthur's house. "Maybe, or maybe some grief teaches people to speak a different language." Lily turned to her. "What happened to him?" Mrs. Whittaker sighed. For once, she seemed less like a neighbor with gossip and more like an old friend guarding a locked room. "Rose died," she said. "That part you know." Lily nodded. "But before she died, there was a daughter." "A daughter?" "Emma," Mrs. Whittaker said. "Arthur and Rose had one child, beautiful girl, smart, loved music. She played piano at church when she was barely tall enough to reach the pedals." Lily felt the story shift beneath her. "Where is she now?" Mrs. Whittaker looked down the street. "Gone." The word was simple but heavy. "She passed away." "No," Mrs. Whittaker said. "Not that kind of gone. She left after an argument a long time ago. There was pride on both sides, as there often is in families. She went west. Rose wrote letters for years. Some came back. Some did not. Then Rose became sick. Arthur tried to find Emma, but by then the address was old. The phone number no longer worked." Lily's chest tightened. "And he never found her?" Mrs. Whittaker shook her head. "No." Lily looked toward Arthur's window. The room was dark in the afternoon light. "Is that why he sits there?" Mrs. Whittaker's face softened. "Nobody knows, but I think Rose used to wait by that window for the mail truck. She thought one day Emma would write. After Rose died, Arthur started sitting there at night. Maybe he is waiting for a letter that will never come, or maybe he is keeping Rose's hope alive because he does not know what else to do with love. Lily said nothing. The story settled over her quietly. That night at 8 o'clock, she watched Arthur sit by the window. But now the image looked different. Not strange, not mysterious, tender, painful, human. The next time Lily visited, she brought tea. Arthur opened the door and looked at the box in her hand. "Not bold morning blend," she said. "Good. May I come in?" The question surprised them both. Arthur's face closed a little. Lily almost apologized. Then slowly he stepped aside. His house smelled like old wood, lemon polish, and dried lavender. The front room was neat: a sofa, a bookshelf, a small fireplace, the famous window, beside it the wooden chair where he sat every night. On the table was a lamp, a teacup, and a framed photograph. Rose. Lily knew immediately. The woman in the picture stood in a garden, laughing at something outside the frame. Her hair was dark then, pinned loosely. She held a handful of flowers, and even in the still photograph, she looked alive with warmth. She was beautiful, Lily said. Arthur placed the tea box on the table. Yes. He did not offer more. So Lily did not ask for more. They made tea in the kitchen. Arthur moved slowly but with confidence, as if every object had a place and every place had a memory. When they sat in the front room, Lily chose the sofa, leaving Arthur his chair. For a while they drank quietly. The window looked out onto Hawthorne Lane. Late afternoon light stretched across the pavement. A boy rode past on a bicycle. Leaves moved along the curb. "Why did you come back?" Arthur asked. Lily looked at him. "To Briar Glen." He nodded. She turned the cup in her hands. "I was tired." Arthur waited. "I had a job in the city. A good job, technically. People were impressed when I told them what I did, but I was always rushing, always answering messages, always trying to become someone a little more successful than I was the day before." She smiled sadly. "Then one morning I was sitting on the train and I realized I had not looked out a window in weeks. Not really. I was always looking at a screen, and I thought if I disappear into this life, who would know where I went?" Arthur watched her carefully. "So you left?" "Not bravely," Lily said. "I was let go from my job, then I pretended it was a choice." Arthur gave a soft breath that might have been a laugh. "Most choices arrive wearing other clothes." Lily smiled. "That's a good line." "It is an old line." "Yours." "Rose's." They were quiet again. Then Arthur looked toward the photograph. She had many lines. Lily did not move. Arthur's voice changed, becoming softer. She believed in saying things before it was too late. "I believed there would always be another day." The room seemed to still around them. "There usually is," Lily said gently, "until there isn't." Arthur closed his eyes. "Yes." After that day, Lily visited once a week. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they drank tea in silence. Sometimes Arthur told stories about Rose. How she once planted tulips in the wrong yard because she misread the property line. How she cried at every wedding, including ones where she barely knew the couple. How she kept a notebook of beautiful sentences she heard from ordinary people. She said people were poetry when they forgot to be careful, Arthur said. Lily wrote that down later. Then one December evening, the first snow fell. Soft flakes drifted through the glow of the streetlights. The town grew hushed, roofs whitened. The maple tree outside Arthur's house held snow on its bare branches like folded linen. Lily stopped by with a small tin of cookies from the bakery. Arthur let her in. The room was warm. The lamp by the window was already on. "You're early," Lily said. "For what?" "Your window appointment." Arthur gave her a look. "It is not an appointment. You are there every night at 8. That sounds like an appointment." He said nothing. Lily placed the cookies on the table. "Arthur," she said carefully, "why do you sit by the window every night?" The question landed softly, but it landed. Arthur looked toward the window. Snow fell beyond the glass. For a long time, he did not answer. Lily regretted asking. Then he said, "Because Rose asked me to." Lily held still. Arthur's eyes remained on the street. Near the end, when she was too weak to get out of bed, I moved her chair by this window. She liked watching the town. She liked seeing who passed by. She said the world felt less far away from that chair. His voice was steady, but barely. Every night I would bring her tea. We would sit together. Sometimes she talked. Sometimes she slept. Sometimes she waited for the mail truck even though mail did not come at night. Lily swallowed. "For Emma." Arthur turned toward her. His expression was not angry, just wounded. "Mrs. Whittaker told you." "Only a little." He looked back at the window. Rose never stopped believing our daughter would come home, even when years passed, even when letters came back unopened, even when the phone numbers failed. She said some roads take longer to return than others. Outside, a car moved slowly through the snow. On her last evening, Arthur said, Rose asked me to sit by the window after she was gone. She said, "If Emma comes home and sees the light, she will know someone is waiting." Lily's eyes filled. Arthur continued, "I told her not to talk like that. I told her she would see Emma herself. I told her all the foolish things frightened husbands say when they cannot bear the truth." His hand trembled slightly around the cup. But she only smiled and said, "Promise me, Arthur, light the lamp, sit by the window, let the house look alive." He exhaled slowly. "So I promised." Lily looked at the lamp, at the chair, at the window. 7 years. Every night. Not because he was strange. Not because he was watching the town. Because he was keeping a promise to a woman who had believed love could still find its way home. "Arthur," Lily whispered, "that is beautiful." He shook his head. "No, it is cowardly." "How?" "Because I sit here waiting for Emma to come to me when I should have spent every year searching harder. I should have found her. I should have apologized before Rose died. I should have said." He stopped. Lily waited. Arthur's eyes shone in the lamplight. "I should have said I was sorry." The snow continued falling. And in that quiet room, beside the window that had held so many years of waiting, Lily understood that the story was not only about Emma. It was about all the words people keep for later. The apologies. The thank yous. The I miss yous. The please come homes. The I was wrongs. The I still love yous. Words stored in the heart like letters that never reached the mailbox. A few days later, Lily began searching. She did not tell Arthur at first. She started small. Old addresses, public records, social media, school archives, a music program from a college in Oregon. Emma Bell had become Emma Bell Harper. Then Emma Harper. Then, for several years, nothing. Lily spent evenings at her aunt's kitchen table, following threads that seemed to vanish whenever she got close. She knew she should ask Arthur's permission. But each night, when she saw him sitting by the window, the lamp glowing beside him, she felt the urgency of unfinished love. Finally, in January, she found a name in an old newspaper article from a small coastal town in Washington. Emma Harper, music teacher, organized a student winter concert. The article was 5 years old, but there was a school name. Lily called the school the next morning. Her heart pounded so hard she had to sit down. She explained carefully. Not too much. Not too little. The secretary said Emma no longer worked there. Lily's hope sank. Then the secretary said, "But I believe she still lives nearby. I can take a message." Lily closed her eyes. "Please," she said. She left her name, her number, and a simple message. "Your father is in Briar Glen. He has been waiting by the window every night." Then she hung up and stared at the phone. For 2 days, nothing happened. On the third evening, Lily visited Arthur. She had decided to tell him everything. But when she arrived, he was not by the window. The lamp was on. The curtains were open. The chair was empty. Lily knocked. No answer. She knocked again, harder. "Arthur." Still nothing. Panic rose in her chest. She tried the door. It was unlocked. Inside, the house was warm and quiet. "Arthur." She found him in the hallway, sitting on the floor, leaning against the wall. His face was pale. One hand rested against his chest, not in agony but in exhaustion. "I got dizzy," he said, as if apologizing for an inconvenience. Lily called emergency services. Arthur protested weakly. "I am fine." "You are sitting on the floor. That is not a convincing argument." He almost smiled, then closed his eyes. The ambulance came. The neighbors gathered. Mrs. Whittaker stood on the sidewalk in her winter coat, hands clasped under her chin. As they carried Arthur out, he looked toward the front window. "The lamp," he whispered. Lily stepped closer. "What?" "Leave it on." She nodded. "I will." That night, for the first time in 7 years, Arthur Bell did not sit by the window. But the lamp stayed on. Lily sat in the chair instead. She did not know if she had the right. But she sat there anyway. Snow lined the street. Neighbors returned to their houses. The town became still. At 10:18, Lily's phone rang. The number was unknown. She answered with a whisper. "Hello." A woman's voice came through, careful and shaken. "Is this Lily Morgan?" "Yes." A pause. "Then my name is Emma. I think you called about my father." Some conversations begin with words. Others begin with silence. This one began with both. Lily sat in Arthur's chair, staring through the window at the snowy street, while a woman hundreds of miles away breathed quietly into the phone. "Is he alive?" Emma asked. The question was so direct, so frightened, that Lily answered quickly. "Yes, he is in the hospital. He was dizzy and weak, but he was conscious when they took him." Emma exhaled. It sounded like a small collapse. "I did not know," she said. Lily understood that she meant more than the hospital. She did not know about the lamp, the window, the waiting, the promise, the 7 years. Lily spoke gently. "He has been sitting by the window every night since your mother passed away. She asked him to keep the light on in case you came home." Emma did not speak. On the other end of the line, Lily heard something like a sob being held back. "My mother thought I hated her," Emma whispered. "No," Lily said. "From what I understand, she never stopped believing you would come home." "I wanted to," Emma said. "So many times, but then too much time passed, and the longer I waited, the harder it became to return. I thought they would not want me after everything I said." Lily looked at Rose's photograph on the table. "I think they wanted you every day." Emma cried then. Quietly, not dramatically. Like someone whose heart had been carrying a box for years and finally set it down. She arrived 2 days later. The whole town knew before Arthur did. Small town sometimes move faster than telephones. Mrs. Whittaker saw the taxi first. A woman stepped out in a dark coat, holding a small suitcase. She was in her early 50s, with brown hair touched by gray and eyes that looked like Arthur's but carried Rose's warmth. For a moment, she stood on the sidewalk in front of the brick house, unable to move. The lamp was still on in the window. Lily had kept it on every night. Emma placed one hand over her mouth. Mrs. Whittaker crossed the street slowly. "Emma," she said. Emma turned. Recognition moved across her face like sunlight finding an old room. "Mrs. Whittaker." The older woman nodded. They embraced in the snow without another word. Later, Lily drove Emma to the hospital. During the drive, neither spoke much. Some silences are awkward. Some are respectful. This one was both. At the hospital, Arthur was sitting up in bed, wearing a gray sweater Lily had brought from his house. He looked tired but stable. A tray of untouched soup sat beside him. "You need to eat," Lily said from the doorway. Arthur looked up. Hospital soup is a threat, not a meal. Then he saw Emma. Everything in the room changed. Arthur's face went still. Emma stood just inside the doorway, one hand gripping the handle of her suitcase. For a moment, neither father nor daughter moved. Years stood between them. Arguments, letters, pride, wrong addresses, funerals missed, birthdays unspoken, love buried beneath hurt. Then Emma said, "Dad." Arthur closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were full of tears. "Emma." That was all. One name each. But sometimes a name is the first bridge back. Emma crossed the room slowly. Arthur tried to sit straighter, as if dignity mattered in such a moment. It did not. Emma reached the bed. For one fragile second, they looked at each other like strangers who had memorized each other's faces long ago. Then Emma bent down and wrapped her arms around him. Arthur made a sound Lily had never heard from him. A broken, relieved sound. He held his daughter with shaking hands. "I'm sorry," he said. Emma cried into his shoulder. "I'm sorry too." Lily stepped quietly into the hallway. Some moments do not need witnesses. By spring, Arthur returned home. But the house was not the same. Emma stayed for 2 weeks, then 3, then longer. She cleaned the upstairs room. She found Rose's letters tied with ribbon in a drawer. She read them slowly, one each evening, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying, sometimes pressing the paper to her chest. Arthur sat with her through all of it. At first, their conversations were careful. They walked around old pain like people walking through a room full of glass. But little by little, they spoke more honestly. Emma told him about the years away, about teaching music, about a marriage that had ended quietly, about a son Arthur had never met, a young man named Noah who played guitar and lived in Seattle. Arthur listened with the face of a man receiving both gifts and consequences. He told Emma about Rose's final years, about the tulips, the tea, the window, the promise, and finally about the regret. "I thought being right mattered," Arthur said one evening. Emma sat across from him near the window. The lamp glowed between them. "So did I," she said. Arthur looked down. "We wasted time." Emma reached for his hand. "Yes," she said, "but not all of it. We are here now." That became the sentence that stayed with him. We are here now. Not everything could be repaired. Rose would never sit in her chair again. The lost years would not return. The letters that never arrived would remain part of the story. But there was still tea to drink. Still evenings to share. Still names to learn. Still a grandson to meet. Noah came in June. He was 22, tall, kind, and nervous in the doorway of the brick house. Arthur stood waiting beside the window, wearing his best sweater though the day was warm. Noah looked at him and said, "Hi, Grandpa." Arthur had prepared many possible replies. "Hello. Welcome. You look like your mother. I am sorry I missed so much." But when the moment arrived, he could only say, "Come in." Noah did. By the end of the visit, he had fixed Arthur's radio, played Rose's old piano, and promised to return before winter. Arthur watched him leave from the porch, one hand raised in a hesitant wave. When the car turned the corner, Emma stood beside him. "He likes you," she said. Arthur frowned. "He barely knows me." "He likes you anyway." Arthur looked toward the empty street. "That is generous of him." Emma smiled. "He gets that from my mother." Arthur laughed softly. It was a small laugh, but it carried through the porch and into the summer air. People in Briar Glen noticed changes after that. Arthur still sat by the window at night, but not in the same way. Sometimes Emma sat with him. Sometimes Lily joined them for tea. Sometimes Noah called, and Arthur learned to hold the phone too close to his ear and speak too loudly into it. Sometimes the chair by the window was empty because Arthur was out on the porch with Mrs. Whittaker, complaining about the town council's decision to replace the old benches downtown. The lamp still came on at 8, but now it no longer looked like a signal sent into loneliness. It looked like welcome. One evening, Lily walked past the house and saw Arthur sitting in his chair, the window opened slightly to let in the smell of rain. Emma was at the piano in the next room, playing something soft and old. The notes drifted out into the street. Arthur saw Lily and lifted his hand. She waved back. Then, to her surprise, he called through the open window. "Tea." Lily smiled. "Is it the good tea?" Arthur looked offended. "I do not serve bold morning blend to guests." She laughed and crossed the street. Years later, people in Briar Glen still talked about the old man who sat by the window every night. But the story changed. It was no longer told as a mystery. It was told as a reminder that waiting can be love. But waiting is not always enough. Sometimes love must knock. Sometimes love must search. Sometimes love must apologize before it feels ready. Sometimes the light in the window is not only for the person who is lost. Sometimes it is for the person who stayed behind, so they do not disappear completely into the dark. Lily eventually returned to the city, but not the same city life she had left. She found quieter work. She kept slower mornings. She wrote real letters. She looked out windows. And whenever she felt herself becoming lost again in noise and hurry, she remembered Arthur's lamp. She remembered that a life can be rebuilt gently. Not all at once. Not perfectly. But with small brave acts. A knock on a door. A cup of tea. A phone call. A letter sent before pride can stop it. A light left on for someone who may still be finding their way home. Arthur lived many more peaceful years in the brick house on Hawthorne Lane. He never became a loud man. He never became the kind of person who filled every room with stories. But he became less hidden. He attended the summer fair again. He brought flowers to the church, not every week but sometimes. He let Mrs. Whittaker believe she had been right about everything, which was easier than arguing. And every Friday he bought roses. Not because Rose could see them, but because love, even after loss, still needs somewhere to go. He placed them in a vase by the window. At night, when the town grew quiet, and the streetlights glowed softly against the trees, Arthur would sit in his chair and look out. But now, if you passed his house at 8 o'clock, you might see more than one shadow in the warm window. You might see Emma sitting across from him with a book. You might see Lily visiting during the holidays. You might see Noah tuning a guitar by the fireplace. You might see Mrs. Whittaker standing on the porch, talking with her hands. And sometimes, if you looked carefully, you might see Arthur alone again. But it was not the same alone. There is a kind of loneliness that means nobody is coming. And there is a kind of solitude that means love has visited and may visit again. Arthur had learned the difference. On his last winter in Briar Glen, the snow came early. One evening, Emma found him sitting by the window, watching the flakes fall through the lamplight. "Do you still wait?" she asked softly. Arthur looked at her. He understood the question. For Rose. For the past. For all that was lost. He smiled, tired but peaceful. "No," he said, "now I just keep the light on." Emma sat beside him. Together they watched the quiet street. The snow covered the porch, the mailbox, the branches of the maple tree. The town slowly disappeared beneath white. But inside the brick house, the window glowed. Warm, steady, alive. And perhaps that is what every heart needs after all. Not a perfect ending. Not a life without regret. Not every lost year returned. Only a light that remains. A chair beside the window. A place to come home to. A voice willing to say, even after too much silence, "I am here. I am sorry. Come in." The end.